Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first drone review that I have done in 10 years. The best way I can describe the DJI Neo2 is that it's kind of the GoPro of the sky, and I'm going to talk about that in this video today because it's one of two Neo videos that I had planned, but the other one is the MacBook Neo, which takes a lot more work to get into Taiwan than I thought, so we got to wait on that one. But this one's here, it's easy to get, and I want to talk about it today. So let's review the DJI Neo2. Right out of the gate, this drone is tiny. It's 151 grams without the transceiver and 160 with the transceiver. Now, the transceiver is an option that comes with the Fly More pack, which is what I got, and we'll get more into that here in a bit. But overall, this drone is extremely light, it's extremely luggable, or I guess just portable. Luggable would mean it's heavy. And I love the fact that it's that easy to just throw in a bag and take with you. It is super convenient, and it's, again, one of the reasons why I consider it to be the GoPro of the sky. Also, fun fact for anybody who's been around on this channel for a long time, the last time I reviewed a drone was 10 years ago. And that was a luggable drone. That was a Phantom. That thing was massive. It was very inconvenient to take out and fly. And yeah, this is very different. There's been a ton of improvements in the last 10 years. I mean, obviously, but for me, I haven't really messed with a drone aside from the Phantom in all of that time. So it felt like I was hopping out of a Mack truck and getting into a tiny Corvette. Now, I've had my eye on the DJI Neo since the first one came out, and I decided not to buy the first one for a couple different reasons. Number one, I found the little button selector on the top kind of dumb when it came to picking what mode you wanted before it took off. It felt super limited, and the fact that you were kind of controlling it through Wi-Fi on your phone only, yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of that either. And the camera quality for what I was really thinking of using this thing for didn't meet my standards. And so I decided to just hold off and see what they did for the next generation. And they improved so many things from that first gen to the second gen. And number one, the tracking alone is so much better. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Neo 1 had some pretty solid tracking, but I only really messed around with it once, and I found that if I moved quick enough, I could get it to lose me, and that was it. The Neo 2, on the other hand, is extremely aware of its surroundings. It's got a top camera, bottom camera, proximity on the bottom, and an IR sensor on the front. All of that means that as soon as this thing locks onto you, it's pretty hard to get it to not follow you. I mean, hell, I had this thing following me on my motorcycle, and as long as I didn't exceed the speed limit of about 25 to 27 miles per hour, it kept up just fine at every angle. It even, it flew in front of me. You can see my surprised look. It was kind of crazy how well it did, even in slightly windy environments. But because this thing is only about 150 grams without its transceiver on the back, you can really see the effects of the wind on this drone. And that can also affect things like its performance in longer distance flights, for example. I don't personally recommend you use this thing as a long distance drone. This is more of a take it out of your bag, throw it up in the air, capture what you need, and then bring it back type drone. But if you do want to go for distance, especially on the Fly More pack that comes with this little transceiver, you can go for distance. I mean, honestly, this little transceiver on the back is probably my favorite improvement of all the things that they did to this drone, aside from the camera, because you throw it on the back with 4 little screws, it passes through USB, so if you're transferring footage off, you don't have to take it off, it just passes it through. And this allows you to go insanely far, basically as far as the battery will let you, but then you can also run into some anxiety moments where you're flying back, and the wind makes your flight half the speed it was going out. Like, true story, I flew this thing about 1.5 kilometers away from its takeoff point, and it went probably 10 to 11 meters per second in one direction, but then it was windy going the other way, and it came home at about 5 to 6 meters per second. And when you were coming in at 16% battery as it's touching down, that was a pucker factor for me. Again, I really recommend this thing as a take it out of your bag, throw it up in the air, get the shot, and bring it back type drone. But if you want to go those distances, just keep an eye on the wind, keep an eye on your battery, and keep an eye on your distance. Speaking of batteries, by the way, this thing, according to DJI, is supposed to be getting about 19 minutes of flight time, but in reality, depending on conditions, speed, all kinds of things, you're really only getting about 11. The best flight time I ever got was about 14 minutes, and that was, oddly enough, out at a beach, but there was no wind, I wasn't going very far, I was in cinematic mode on the controller, so it wasn't flying very fast, and that was basically the best I got. But if you're using a lot of tracking, it's doing a lot of corrections in the wind, or you're just going super fast in sport mode, you can burn through this battery way faster than what DJI claims you're supposed to. So if you do look into getting this drone after this video, I would highly recommend getting any option that comes with more batteries, because being able to hot swap those in the field instead of sitting around waiting for them to charge up is so much better. I guess at this size, you can really only expect so much when it comes to battery performance, and you can also expect for these smaller motors to be much, much louder, or at least a lot less pleasant than what you would get out of some of the larger motors on something like a Mavic. Now, in my opinion, the original Neo's motors were absolutely horrible when it came to sound. They had a tone to them that just perfectly matched the tinnitus in my ears and drove me insane. These don't have that same tone, so I can tolerate flying them a lot better. And if you leave the prop guards on, yes, they protect the propellers, but they do also help reduce some of that wind noise. But these are still loud.
3, 2, 1.
This thing, you're gonna hear it until you're about 100 meters away. And what's funny is, because this thing is meant to be sort of your personal cameraman drone, there is a feature that kind of cuts out the audio that you have either through the phone or through a microphone paired to your phone. And well, here, let me talk about it outside. The best combination that I've found so far for voice audio quality when you're recording with the drone nearby is to record with the pure setting. This basically cancels out everything except for your voice, and then also use the more aggressive windsock for this DJI microphone. It doesn't work as well when you're using the built-in phone microphone, but it works pretty well for this microphone, although again, still not the best audio quality until the drone goes much further away, but at that point you're not recording yourself, you're recording the environment. Yeah, it's not the best audio quality because the software that they're using is working really hard to get rid of this really loud droning noise. And it's doing a fine job for what it has to work with, and I definitely think there's some improvements that can be done with software, but in general, I wouldn't use any sort of baked-in audio for this thing because it's just gonna sound horrible. But I suppose now that we've talked about the audio and showed you a little clip of what it's kind of made for, let's go ahead and dive into the video functions. So aside from the addition of the transceiver that lets you use a regular controller and get some really good range on this thing, the camera was the upgrade that I was most excited for. You now have a 4K sensor with 30, 60, and 100 FPS video functions, and the bitrate for the video is slightly higher, which, if you're doing a lot of edits, can be super nice to have. The Neo2 does still have the half-inch sensor of the Neo1, but you do have an improvement to the aperture going from f2.8 to f2.2. It's still not a nighttime drone. You're not going to be able to see anything if you take this thing off at night, but if you're flying at like dusk or dawn where the lighting is not ideal, you are still going to be able to get a little more into the camera without as much noise. I do wish, however, that with the improvements to the camera, DJI would have given us some sort of log profile for the colors. It's just a default color profile, which in general looks pretty good. With the higher bitrate, it is still serviceable, but flat color profiles are always going to be easier to work with for people who want to get more cinematic shots out of this thing, or maybe just change up the color profile to make it look kind of in line with some other project they're using this for, but nope, default color profile. I guess for the average user, it's fine, but for somebody like me, I just wish I had more options. But while DJI didn't give us more color profiles, they did finally give us a 2-axis gimbal, which is a massive improvement. Now, I'm not gonna go in depth on what gimbal differences there are and how that works, but just know that while there is software stabilization with the Neo1 that is carried over to the Neo2 and is very good, there is a lot more physical stabilization going on with the footage, so that way you're not going to have to worry about things like weird juddering at the side of the frames that are happening due to software stabilization. This thing is able to get a much more stable look without having to rely on software and instead relying on the actual stabilization in the gimbal. Photography itself is decent. I didn't really mess around with that too much. I do love some of the options that they give you, but I played more around with the default modes that are in video than I did with photo, because this for me is a video drone, not so much a photo drone. Yeah, so the camera improvements are fantastic, and I mentioned before that it has some of the best tracking that I've seen in a drone, period. It's very aware of its surroundings, but now you can either throw the controller and the little receiver on it, take it off, and do all the things you'd expect from a regular DJI drone with a controller. You can control different settings automatically through your phone, or you can just take it out of your backpack, press the button, let it take off, and it'll do whatever you tell it to through the screen on the front. Yeah, so I mentioned before the little button on the top of the DJI Neo1 where you can pick through a couple different options and that's about it. This thing now has a screen on the front that you can select different options through using the buttons on the side. And in the software, you can add more of what this drone can do right there in the app, and then it'll show up on the screen. That is freaking awesome, and it means that you can get shots like this, or like this, or like this, without having to take your phone out of your pocket. And they look good. I mean, I had this thing following me down the road while a bike was going by. I had this thing following me, like I mentioned earlier, on my bike. It looks good. If I want to say, oh look, I'm standing here, go ahead and take off and fly away from me to show what's around me, I can do that too. I mean, hell, I walked through this little art sculpture and it followed me through no problems. But when I got to the end, it realized that when I stood up, it wasn't going to be able to follow me through it again because of its placement after I kneeled down. So instead, it followed me on the outside and still did a fantastic job. This thing even followed me up the stairs of the house and into my office, even though I didn't open the doors particularly wide. It just figured it out and did it. Like, the versatility of this drone is exactly why I called it the GoPro of the sky. Like, back when I used GoPros way more often, I would always have one or two of them in my bag as well as a couple mounts. And when I needed them, I would just take them out of my bag, throw them in the mount, stick the mount wherever it needed to go, let it do its thing, and then come back, offload the footage, and put it back in my bag. And this thing is exactly the same way. You can literally take this thing, remove the receiver on the back, put it in your bag, and then when you want to get a cool clip, you can just take it out, pick what mode you want, let it do its clip, bring it back, you're done. And also, going along with that GoPro analogy, this thing is pretty tough. I've crashed it a few times, one of which was just absolutely dumb. It warned me about no collision when I put it in sport mode, and before it finished giving me the warning, I flew that thing straight backwards into a wall. That was my fault, obviously. But after it told me to check the propellers and make sure everything was good, I was back up in the air in like a minute and a half, and there's only a few scratches on it to show what I did. I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and summarize this drone's versatility in the easiest way. This drone has two extreme ends of the spectrum that it lives on. On one end of the spectrum, an average user can take it out of their bag, pick the mode they want, take it off from their hand, get the clip, land it on their hand, load the footage onto their phone, and throw it in their bag. That is already amazing. And on the other end of that spectrum, somebody can take it out of their bag, put a transceiver on the back, connect it to their phone and a controller, fly it hundreds or thousands of kilometers out or hundreds of kilometers up, and they can film whatever they need and then offload that footage straight onto their computer for grading. Both of those ends of the spectrum used to need two different types of drones, and now they exist in one device. That is freaking awesome. I would say the only two downsides that I have found for this drone have been, like I mentioned at the beginning, the weight of this drone. It's just not good on gusty days, and you can really drain the battery on this thing if you're not careful. But the second one is the storage. They did improve the storage of this drone from 20 gigabytes to about 49, just shy of 50 gigabytes on this new model, but it's baked in. There is no upgrade, there is no recovery, there's nothing. There's no SD card slot, it is just built into the drone. And the idea with this is that it saves it all on the drone and you can offload it to your phone through the app, which is faster. They did improve the connectivity over Wi-Fi, but having it be more serviceable than just built-in storage would have been nice. At the end of the day though, this drone is the drone that I would go to most often. I used to pick up the Phantom when I wanted to do something big, and that was basically it. This thing literally lives in my LTT backpack all the time. It lives in the outside pocket. It's not even taking a beating in that outside pocket, and when I do want to get a clip, I just take it out of the bag, throw it up in the air, and get what I want. And then when I come home and I want to just have some fun, fly it fast, do whatever, I can do that as well with the controller. This drone almost perfectly encapsulates the idea of the best camera is the one you have with you, because if you want to carry around something like a Mavic Mini or any bigger drone, it can be a pain in the ass to set up. You've got weight limitations, so depending on where you're at, it might not fly. There's all kinds of things. But this drone does still have flight limitations depending on region and area, but it is so much easier to just keep with you, and if you see a shot that you want to take from the air, you can do that, either manually with your phone, automatically with your phone, or with no phone at all, and that is awesome. But all of that falls apart if it's way too expensive to be attainable by the people who might be interested in this. So, like I always do, I save the price to the end because I want you to see all the things I have to say about it, and I want you to hear my opinions on everything I like about it before you decide whether the price is worth it. So, what does this thing cost? Well, there's two ways of getting it. Technically three, but I'm only going to talk about two. One is the drone only, and one is the Fly More pack. For the drone only option, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're just getting the drone. There's no transceiver, there's no extra batteries, no controller. If you're going to fly it, you're either flying it with the automatic functions built into the device, or you're flying it through your phone. That is it. And that runs $220. Yeah, you heard me right. $220 for a half-inch sensor, 4K video capable drone that has the best tracking that I have seen, or at least some of the best tracking I have seen on any drone, especially at this price point. Now, you are still only flying through the automated functions or through your phone, but for $220, you really can't do much better than that for the price. But I will say that while the value of just the drone for $220 is pretty good, the better value is the Fly More combo, in my opinion. That, with a controller, 2 extra batteries, the charger for the batteries, and the transceiver that goes on the back of this drone, runs $320. So for $100 extra, you're getting a full-blown controller, not the fancy screen controller, just use your phone, but you're getting a controller that gives you so much more range, like insane levels of range. 2 extra batteries, which based on battery life is definitely a necessity, and the transceiver that again gets you insane amounts of range. You're literally going from flying only on Wi-Fi from your phone to your drone to literal 6 gigahertz and some auto band frequencies at ridiculous ranges. The furthest I've taken this thing is 2 kilometers, and that was wild to me and also kind of stressful. But yeah, $320 gets you all of that. I think that's the best value, and for everything that I've been able to do with this thing, all the footage you've seen, everything, I think that that is a fantastic option that if you're looking for this type of drone, it's probably gonna be what you wanna go with. For me personally, I am floored to have a drone like this in my bag every single day. Living here in Taiwan, there are so many things that I see that are absolutely beautiful, and I have images in my head of the shot that I could take of something that I see, and now I can just take the drone out of my bag and get that shot right then and there. Again, just like a GoPro. I am so happy that this exists, and I'm so glad that I waited and skipped the Neo 1 to go with the Neo 2. But I'm curious to know what you all think about this drone. Let me know in the comments down below. I will definitely be down there hearing out what you all have to say, maybe having some conversations about it as well, so definitely make sure to go down there and check it out. If you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to like and subscribe, because this was the Neo 2. The next Neo that I'm going to be reviewing is the MacBook Neo, which will be showing up once it goes through all the customs and stuff to be imported here to Taiwan. So definitely make sure to subscribe for that. Like this video if you enjoyed this video. Check out these names over here. These names are the reason why I can do videos like these. They keep the lights on, they keep things moving when things get a little slow. They're my members of the channel, the Army of Steel. They get things like emojis, badges on their names, discounts in my store, as well as wallpapers that I'm slowly uploading, some of which will now be coming off this guy, which I'm super excited to start uploading. So definitely check that out over there. I might be adding another option where you'll see the videos on this channel when they get uploaded, but let me know if you're interested in that as well. But either way, that's been it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.